Hey guys, what's going on? Darth Cinema here, coming to you with my reaction. No video today. Not enough good light in here, and well, I want to keep these thoughts fresh. I'm going to do an audio recording for you guys of my thoughts. Now, I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but knowing this movie, you probably have all heard the story, and it doesn't really branch off too far from what the story that we all know. So, yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about Cinderella. Now, before I go into Cinderella, I just want to say this new trend of adapting fairy tales to live action films. Most of which were done by Disney with animation. There have been a few, the biggest ones, of course, being Snow White and the Huntsman with Kristen Stewart and Chris Hemsworth, and Charlize Theron, and the more recent Maleficent with Angelina Jolie. Both the films were meh, and if you've seen my reaction to Maleficent on my channel, it is here on my channel, you'll find I was kind of split down the middle for it, and now looking back on it after I've seen it again, Maleficent is still pretty meh to me because it just didn't figure. It couldn't decide whether or not it was going to strictly follow the story or branch off and tell its own, really. And it felt really confused and cluttered, but Angelina Jolie still delivered a great performance, so that's what makes the movie meh for me. But anyway, I didn't come here to talk to you guys about that. I came here to talk to you guys about Cinderella. I went into this movie. I saw the trailers. Not a lot of promotional material for it. I really only saw the very first where it showed the slipper. And I can tell you, I rolled my eyes and I go, do we really need this? Do we really need a live-action version of a story we all know? And then I saw the second trailer, and I was very intrigued about how it looked. It certainly looked pretty, but this is a trailer, and as Man of Steel has showed me, you can have a good trailer, but not have a good film. I'm here to tell you guys, was this film good? No. It was great. Oh my god. Third time's the charm, I guess. Cinderella was easily it was the best of these three films, Maleficent, Snow White and the Huntsman, and Cinderella. This one, by far, is the best. It was beautiful. It not only looked beautiful, it sounded beautiful, had a great cast. We had actors from Game of Thrones, Underworld, the Marvel films, two actors, an actor and actress from the Marvel films in this film. There was Cate Blanchett, Lily James from Wrath of the Titans, Richard Madden from Game of Thrones, Helena Bonham Carter as the fairy godmother. Oh my gosh. I could sit here for like half an hour rambling about how good this film is, but I don't want to keep you guys sitting here for a half hour. So I'm just going to go over the main stuff of the story and what I loved about this film and anything I didn't care for. And I will try to keep this spoiler free for any new stuff that hasn't come up. So this essentially does follow the story of the animated Cinderella and like the original one. I will admit I have never read the original Cinderella. I'm mostly familiar with the Disney animated version, but this makes me want to actually read the original story just to see how faithful of an adaptation it was. So one of the great things I will say about this film, it's obviously the story of Cinderella after the death of her parents, living with her stepmother, and going to the ball, meeting the prince, running away, and of course, the prince finding her, getting the slipper on happily ever after. We know that. We know the story. What does this film add on to it that makes it great? One, we get to see more of Cinderella's parents. Fantastic. I absolutely loved I was smiling just to see how much I feel like you get to know the character of Cinderella a bit more just by her interactions with her parents. There was nods. There were characters from the animated series from the animated not series, the animated movie. Like Gus the mouse, we got to see him in the film, and he was pretty funny. A lot of the mice, all the mice and animals were CG, at least the ones that interacted with Cinderella. But really, there wasn't much to complain about there. Um, so yeah, definitely the interaction between Cinderella and her parents was fantastic. Having Cinderella meet the prince before the ball was great. It really gave us a kind of a teaching moment for the prince that's to see for Cinderella to pass on what she's learned from her family, from her mother and father, and pass it on to the prince to have such a profound impact that he starts questioning, what's just because something. I believe the quote was, "Just because something is done doesn't mean it should be done." So it's definitely a teaching moment between Cinderella and the prince when they first meet, which is really good. And we get to see a little bit more of the prince, and he's not just um, he's not just a random guy thrown in there. We get to know about him a bit more. I wish that was my only wish about the film. I really wish we got to know the prince a little bit more, but it did stick to its own story. It did stick to what we know. Uh, let's Kate Blanchett as the stepmother, fantastic. She not only captured like that cold and calculating role of Lady Tremaine so perfectly, you also feel a little bit sorry for her. And I won't spoil it, but there are scenes where you genuinely feel sorry for her character, and just to feel that emotion for a villain. It feels foreign, but at the same time, you realize that they're making these characters more three-dimensional by making you feel for them and by learning a bit more about them. The only thing I really have to say that I didn't like is well, not that I didn't like, it was confusing a little bit. There was a plot point. If you've seen it, you know it. This is after, of course, Lady Tremaine finds out about Cinderella going to the ball. There is a plot point later, and if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about with one of the characters. I'm not going to spoil that. But that plot point where they've taken a character who was good and it made him look slightly villainous really didn't make sense to me. I was kind of confused as to why that was thrown in there. Whether it was to prolong the film's runtime, I'm not sure. It wasn't bad. It felt like it was kind of out of left field, and I really didn't. It's like it's not that you didn't see it coming, and it was a twist. It wasn't like that. It was just really like, whoa, that was unexpected. Why is this happening? We've gotten no indication that this was going to happen, and I'm not going to go into it any further than that to spoil it. This film's strength, easily the setting, the sets and locations look absolutely brilliant. I believe they filmed this in England. I believe it was the Hampton Castle. I cannot remember the name of the castle off the top of my head, but beautiful, absolutely stunning. The effects, especially for the fairy godmother actually using the magic to create the carriage, the dress, the coachman, the horses, absolutely fantastic. A little bit of humor with Helena Bonham Carter being the fairy godmother, always welcome. This was a real funny role for her to use. And it's brief, but oh my goodness, so much fun to watch. And it just, the music, oh my goodness, the music really has that, it's just a powerful, like, fantasy, like, music. It's hard to describe. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. It's I have to say it's got a magical quality to it, and that's what this film has. And you can do an adaptation, and you could follow it. Like I'll compare it to another adaptation everyone hates, Last Airbender. Last Airbender was an adaptation of a TV show, but I'm judging them as adaptations alone. You could follow the main story points exactly. But if you don't have the heart and the soul that this movie had. It really felt like this. There was this. It captured the magic of the original fairy tale. It really did, and that's something that not a lot of adaptations have managed to get. But this film seemed to have hit it right on the head, hit the nail right on the head. Absolutely breathtaking. How beautiful it looks. How wonderful all these actors and actresses are doing in this. I really hope Lily James, who plays Cinderella, she has a future, definitely. This is some really good stuff. I'm actually looking forward to Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I believe Lily James will be in later this year. But as far as what I feel about this movie in closing, because I've ranted about this for now 11 minutes, you guys have had to hear me for 11 minutes, so I want to kind of bring this to a close. This is hands down one of the best adaptations I've seen, because it not only did the story justice, it captured the magic that Walt Disney put into the original animated film. And by capturing that feeling, that wonder and awe of seeing this, even though you've seen it, you've heard the story hundreds of times, when you watch this movie, it feels like you're watching it for the very first time. And I would not hesitate to see this again. Look on my channel. I will be uploading a reaction to Frozen Fever, or it's probably already out on my channel before this video. Consider leaving a comment, a like, and subscribing for more future content. I will be going to see more films in the future, my next big one being Avengers Age of Ultron. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this. Please go see this movie. It is magical, and it sounds really corny to say, but there is no other word to describe the film I just saw. My name is Czar Cinema, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!